Welcome, everyone. We are in the most visible era in history, yet influence is increasingly rare. The illusion that posting is progress, the reality, visibility without positioning, without focus, and without specific clarity of outcomes creates noise, not necessarily opportunity. And it can become a time black hole. Of course, we have today our brilliant Yusuf Scali, Coachability, and your host, Carolina Billings of PWT Success Connect. Welcome, Yusuf.
Thank you. Happy to be here again.
Always, always. So, noise, a lot of noise. What is going on?
Well, you said it well, Dr. Carolina. We are living in the most visible era, right? And I think in history ever. But that doesn't automatically make it the most influential era when it comes to individuals, when it comes to messaging. So you talk about posting, but posting consistently without clarity doesn't build the authority.
That's right.
And here I add the dimension of authority, because when we talk about visibility, at the end it's become now anyone can be visible. Before, we used to have a specific access to a media platform, a specific access to that. But today, it's we democratized the visibility.
But
But
that can be a bad thing.
yeah, but did we make it intentional?
Yeah, agreed. When social media first came out and everybody, or at least in corporate, right, the experiences were, or the thought was, get a student to do our social media, right? Like it was not seen as a skill set with the messaging and all. And I remember I used to tell all of our marketing, all of our executives, right? A bad idea online is still a bad idea, except that now the world can see it. So
True.
really being intentional in what is it that you are seeking to influence?
Exactly. Exactly. Especially that I see a confusion between being visible, being influential, being impactful, and having authority, and having an impact.
And being known. What is it you're known for?
Exactly, because if 1,000 people know you or see you, but do not really know you and do not know what you stand for, then you become forgettable,
Mm.
because the next day there will be a different 1,000 people that will see you. So if you are looking for the visibility as a metrics, then yeah, maybe every day 1,000 people or 1 million people will see you. But are they the same people? Are you memorable? Are are you making an impact on their life with your messaging, with what you do, right?
You just said something really powerful. First of all, I love your thousand, your thousand eyes. I guess that would be 2,000. Your thousand follower, and I dislike that word very much, but your audience of 1,000. Yeah, your thousand, right? Because we are not entertainers.
Absolutely.
And this is something that always captures the imagination of a lot of thought leaders, right? A lot of service providers is that they see all these influencers who, by the way, do that full time with massive budgets, right?
Yeah,
And our job is not here to entertain anyone. Our
yeah,
job is coming online so that exactly what you said, people get to know you, people get to know what you stand for.
absolutely. Uh, there, there is a confusion in this visibility era about what is the role of leadership. So even when we talk about the term influencers, I have a lot of reservation to that term, influencers, in the sense of social media,
Mhm.
because we started confusing that with leadership. But do leadership, it's really just to throw messages there and being constantly online and being seen by thousands and millions. But then, are you really having an impact on the life of people? Are you really impacting the decision making? Are you impacting the choices? Yes, you may influence on one aspect, but then when I see influencers, and there are some, bless them, they're very successful, and we are not discussing that.
Mhm.
But when I see who will promote like one thing, and then the next day they will promote something completely opposite, and then the other thing, then I start thinking, okay, so what are they, what is their message? I like always to think of that, because I like food. I think of that with the analogy of a restaurant. If I am craving, if I'm really craving a good steak, for example, and I go to a restaurant and then I see they do pasta, they do pizza, they do burgers, they do
Chinese food.
the Chinese, they do sushi, then I say, what are they good at actually? Is it
Mm.
really the right place where I want to have my steak? When I go to a restaurant that they have maybe five signature items in their menu, they know what they are doing. So I might be going more to that restaurant.
Unless, and you know what, is this is where messaging and clarity matters, right? Because when you were saying going to a place that serves all the different, you know, dishes, right? Well, if you're a fusion restaurant or if you're a marketplace restaurant, so that it is clear to the people visiting that that is the experience, right?
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
is that fusion, but that goes with the branding and the messaging. It's
Yeah.
exactly like you said, just showing up every day, speaking of something different. What does that have to do with the price of bread?
Yeah.
And that goes with visibility, right? Is yes, you got to be seen. Absolutely. There's no question about it, right? But I love what you just said about influencers. We're really not there to influence anyone. That is the antithesis of being a mentor and a coach. It's not to influence anyone, it's really to awaken within.
Absolutely.
And that's where the thought leadership comes in, which is different than influence. And this is why I'm not a big fan of motivational speakers in the traditional sense, right? Because I've gone to see many a great, gifted speakers. And while you're in the room, you're buying their energy, right? You're absorbing their energy. And they're saying you can, and you're saying I can. And you know what? As long as you're in the theater, you're like, yes, I can. You know, I am all powerful. And the minute that you begin to drive away, it's like, you know, yes, I can. Maybe I can. Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not your energy, it's their energy. And I think if we were to classify just influence, think of yourself as an influencer or wanting to have that viral experience, that influencer cachet, right? That's not about converting hearts and minds.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. I see many, especially in the coaching in the coaching area, I see a lot of content creation. And yeah, when I started my coaching, I was also posting constantly. not necessarily consistently, but constantly, because there is a difference. And and at a certain moment, I was like, okay, if my goal is to post and be visible, then first I'm depleting my energy on where I do not want to spend my time, because my time I want to spend it with my clients. That's the first thing. The second thing, I started seeing myself being dragged into that overconsumption of content. So being like content creator and content consumer at a high level. And then I paused and I thought, like, really, what do I want at the end? What really I want to from social media there. But this also applies to
From media,
from
like in
media.
general.
And,
Yeah.
and actually, it applies also to real life, in the corporate life. And I'm sure you will relate. You will relate to that. So I want just to make that clarification that while we are talking about the media, but visibility also happens in real life, and especially in the corporate life. I see some former colleagues, they used to want to be in every meeting where the leadership is there.
Mhm.
And I was like, why you want to be that? So like, you don't want to miss that. And even they would brag about it, like, oh, I've been in the meeting with the CEO, with X and
The
Y.
pre-meeting for the meeting
Yeah,
and the
exactly. So
post-meeting.
every time there is an executive member in a meeting, they want to be there, but then nobody was noticing them.
Mhm.
While others, including myself, we would have preferred to be in a meetings where we can add value, where we can have a contribution, where we can have an impact. And then I started seeing that, yeah, I meet one executive, like, and I'm talking about like multinational group in different with different headquarters. I met an executive that I met 6 months earlier once, and then they recognize me and they say, oh yeah, we discussed that, and yeah, that idea, and so on, and also with some other colleagues, while the ones who were permanently there, permanently visible, wouldn't have a real contribution. And the same applies, of course, to the online part.
Yeah, and that is so in the corporate setting, it's funny. I remember one of the things that always brought visibility to me, as I was climbing the ranks, right, was any volunteer position within the corporation.
Right.
And if there wasn't one, I would create it. So it was always part of the social committee, right? And I remember not realizing its power until one day I got a call from a well-known organization, whether it was like March or Dawn, like one of those, like a well-known established organization, that they had reached the president of the company, and the president of the company gave them my name to contact me for any social collaboration or any partner, like social impact partnership.
There you go.
And I remember thinking, I can't, like, and I mean, I was a financial analyst at the time. I must have been like, mid 20s, mid to late 20s. And I remember thinking, wow, he knows who I am, right? Like, in never, ever, ever underestimate the power of being a good corporate citizen when you are within a corporation, be it an ambassador, be it a messaging, being, anybody that helps to move the mission and vision of the organization, right? And that is visibility with purpose.
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
in clarity.
Especially the example you gave in the social activities and volunteering, it speaks a lot for your values and, as we were saying, what you stand for. So people would remember more what you stand for than your face.
That's right. Yeah, and in both you and I were have been blessed that we had a very positive corporate experience. But I think a lot of it was the mindset and was the choices that we made along the way, right? Never underestimate the power of responsibility, right, for your own actions. Now, visibility is still the core, whether it is entrepreneurship, if you're looking for a job, if you're looking to, you know, just plant seeds for the future, right? It has to be intentional. Like you said, likes don't pay the mortgage, right? Just getting
Absolutely.
a lot of engagement with people that may not have read what you had to say,
Yeah.
right? They may not they were not opting to your call to action. So there's got to be a clear call to action that benefits people, whether it's, if you say you post, you're really trying to make a name for yourself, because it's not who you know, it's who knows you, right?
Yeah,
In
exactly.
LinkedIn, there's many platforms, but this is really for career leadership and impact. LinkedIn, I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan, and I'll tell you why. Because it's unguarded. You have access to all of the decision makers in the world have a LinkedIn account. And if you are strategic about the content that you post, not the quantity, the quality, the
Quality.
curation, the messaging, the analysis, your contribution to the discourse and the narrative, right? And you're intentional about it. Never underestimate who gets to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes the whole differences if the intention behind visibility is to grab the attention and compete for attention in a world where everyone today can have that 15 seconds of attention from anyone on the online, specifically. But are you a reference for that people? Are you a trust source?
Right.
Are you credible? I may say something and it will resonate with someone, and then they will look on my profile or look on my different activities and feel that I'm not a trustworthy person. Then that person will not want to see me again or listen to me again. While for some other people, if they see that I am that credible source, I am that trustworthy reference. I've been out of social media intentionally for different reasons for a while. It's not that I cut off the social media and just taking a break. And I get really joyful when people continue to reach out.
Mhm.
And just last week, I was discussing with in a social gathering, and then a person I never met before. We start talking, and then they say like, "Okay, so tell me more about your values inspired coaching." And I was like, "Oh, how do you know that?" I said,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah.
I read one of your articles and it stuck with me the way how you presented it and I said, oh my God. And I reflected and it was an article from 1 year ago. For me, that's completely different than if someone tells me, well, I saw your post 5 minutes ago. Yeah, of course you will remember it. But if you remember it after 1 year, that makes a
That is
whole
fabulous.
difference.
In
Yeah.
your content, that's really powerful, because your content remains in cyber, sphere,
Yes.
for a long time. Like I end up getting likes and comments or engagement on posts that I had even forgotten about because they were so far ago, right?
Yeah.
And yet they've just reached someone.
Yeah, exactly. Or it might have reached them sometimes ago, but they decided to take action on it right now. Because again, there is the timing. And is it the right message for the right person at the right time now? And influence with when we force it
Mhm.
through the visibility, it won't have a lasting impact. This is why I'm not anti-visibility, I'm not anti-influence, and I would like to have your opinion on that. But I do not adhere to the idea of being visible for the sake of being visible and then calling myself that I am influencer while I'm trying to force my influence on people.
Mhm.
And not necessarily the people I want to engage with.
And you know what? You know that frame like open to work that people put on their LinkedIn? And I don't know if other platforms have it, but um, here's here's the thing. Just putting the open for work is like show what you can do. Show me, right? Write articles, do streaming, do thought leadership, like put out your messaging. How would you change the position that you're looking for? What
Right,
fresh do you like? Show it,
right.
right? And right now, even with AI optimization, I just had an experience yesterday which was interesting. So I'm doing a little bit of reno in my basement, right? As I'm preparing to position my house in the market, and so we need to do a bit of updates.
Okay.
So I had two companies come and give a quote. So one company, right? The gentleman came in through the front door, and I said he took off his boots, and I said you may want to bring those with you because we need to go to the basement, right? For me to show you what we want to do and what needs to get done. So he instantly said, "Well, we need to let's sit down and have a conversation first." And it turned into a sales pitch, like about the company. And there was a video and a pop-up mini laptop, and there were videos that were. And meanwhile I'm sitting there and it's like, okay, I only have an hour for this. And really, it's lovely that your company's that well prepared, but really I want you to take a look at the challenge that I have down below,
Yeah.
and for you to tell me how you can fix it, right? So he eventually went down, took a look, and then we came back upstairs, and he wanted to sit down and have another conversation. And we went back to the videos, right? And at one point, I said, I don't mean to be rude, but like, have you ever heard of like AI optimization? And he's looking at me like, because this company prides themselves that every employee owns the company. Like, I guess they have some kind of joint sharing of ownership. So I said, I'm going to give you some feedback. And he's like, what? And I said, you've been here for 45 minutes and I still don't know what you can do to fix it. Like, you got to be answer first, right? Tell me
Absolutely.
the answer and then build, reverse engineer it, right? Like, and that goes out for anybody that is putting content. Don't bait someone into having to read 1,000 words to get to the last 50 that are the answer. Give answer first. This is with the technology that we have, holding on to information is not the way to go, because anybody can find any information in a split of a second.
Yeah,
So pose the
absolutely.
question, give the answer, then work through your analysis, how you came up with this, how what your thoughts are, right? That's the curation and the value that you bring. But right now, people don't play games. So if you are wanting to be visible and wanting to have impact with your content, be intentional. What is this about, and what's your evaluation?
Yeah,
Then begin to do your discernment and show how you're a thought leader by breaking down why this matters or why it doesn't. That's how you get noticed, and that is how you get an outcome out of putting out all of this material, because nobody's putting this material out of an exercise in self-discovery. You're doing it with intention. You're either looking for a job, you're looking for, become better known, you're looking for clients, you're looking for something.
yeah,
So be clear and intentional about it.
yeah, exactly. And that's why in my line of work, and I know in yours too, it's that self-awareness and self-knowledge. So Scali in my coaching practice stands for self-knowledge and living life intentionally. And that part of self-knowledge is really important, because trying to be visible to everyone without even knowing yourself, so how you expect the others to know, as you said, what you stand for. So visibility, yes, may get people to notice you, and may invite you to the party and even put you on the stage, but doesn't guarantee you a seat on the table, doesn't guarantee you a decision making. So yes, visibility gets you noticed, but is it really the ultimate goal? Or you want the higher level, which is influence positively? It's when people, they start trusting you and they start seeing you as a credible reference. And in my opinion, the ultimate aim is to move from visibility to influence to impact, when you help people to shape decisions.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you work with your clients, Yusuf, to gain that clarity. Because you know what? You may work super hard to get to a room that is not your room, right? Is
Exactly.
there may be other ways to achieve it. And that's where you
Yeah,
come in. And I work with people on the visibility factor, but once they've got their messaging and they know where they're going, and for that you work with Yusuf and you work with some of our other mentor experts at PwC Global,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like by the time you come to me, you know what you're doing, and now we're just going after it, right? But getting that clarity is everything.
yeah. Clarity, nowadays, clarity is the real authority, in my opinion. That's the
Mm.
real, that's the real authority and credibility. And especially the credibility towards self first before towards other.
Ooh, I like that. Clarity and credibility in self first. Love that.
Yeah,
Love that. So
absolutely.
we're going to put the contact below where you can reach and you can see some more of Yusuf's work, and certainly follow PwC Global. All of our 5 sister brands, we support 5 different, excuse me, ecosystems that combine provide your ecosystem for success, because it addresses all the 5 elements for 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 you to really reach your ultimate goals. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yusuf, and
Thank
until
you.
next time.
Yes.